Excerpts from Passages About Earth by William Irwin Thompson. If we think of it in this way, we can see that art is a closer approximation of reality than science, and that information theory is incapable of dealing with the infinite variables and multiple meanings of poetry. Computer scientists and linguistic philosophers have an instinctive distaste for the ambiguity that makes their life difficult. They continually try to translate life into a notation that is clear, precise, and capable of a single meaning for all observers. It is obvious that God is intelligent enough to be bored by such an automatic and repetitive universe, for he has designed one with a much more fascinating set of relationships between the unique and the universal. More fascinating and more poetic, for if one thinks of terms of, say, romantic poetry, he can see that there is not one message that is romanticism. Rather, there are wordsmiths, and Coleridge and Shelley and Keats. The relationship between information and noise is thus a rich and complex one. It is at once symbiotic, like life and death, and relativistic, like time and space. For the hippie in the country, the dandelion is a flower and a beneficial herb. For his father in the suburbs, it is a cancerous growth that he must root out with force. But let us assume that we can sift the noise from the information. The informational cells are those persons who are open to pick up and carry the new information. But since each medium is a distorting medium, there is an inevitable addition of personal noise. If a person is open to a new worldview, it can often mean that he is not firmly rooted in the reality of the old worldview. As a lunatic or an alienated artist, his own neurotic traits can become magnified as they tremble with the new energy pouring in from the universal source. In the history of ideas, a new idea is often first picked up by a crazy person, then elaborated by an artist who is more interested in its imaginative possibilities than its literal truth. Then it is picked up by a scholar or a scientist who has become familiar with the idea through the work of the artist. The savant makes the hitherto crazy idea perfectly acceptable to the multitude, until finally the idea rests as a certainty in the hands of a bureaucracy of pedants. As Thomas Huxley said, it is the customary fate of new truths to begin as heresies and to end as superstitions. Thus we see a four-stage process: crazies, artists, savants and intellectuals, and then pedants, the masses.